Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into one of the weirdest and most hyper-specific body phenomena a listener has ever brought to us.
Hmm.
The question is this. When you're standing, firmly planted and you squeeze your fist really hard,
Hmm.
why do you feel this distinct, specific pressure in your feet and ankles?
Yeah, it's a great question because it feels like it shouldn't happen.
It really does. I mean, the distance between the action and the sensation is huge.
Right.
The action's happening in your hand, maybe your wrist, but the response is manifesting a world away down at the bottom of your legs.
Yeah.
So this deep dive is all about what seems like an isolated action, a simple hand clench, leading to this really precise remote response.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to synthesize the competing and overlapping theories we found. We're going to look at three main areas: the pure neurological pathways, then global postural mechanics, and finally this fascinating kind of speculative world of bio-tensegrity.
What's fascinating here is that the papers we reviewed, they immediately suggest this isn't some random twitch or a fluke.
Right. This phenomenon, it strongly indicates a systemic interconnection, a really rapid feedback loop, either, neuromuscular or purely mechanical. The central nervous system has to be coordinating the whole body for stability the second you contract those finger muscles.
So it's a system-wide safety check.
It's a full system safety check. Any strong voluntary contraction, especially when you're standing, isn't just a local event. It can't be.
Okay, so let's start with the one that feels the most intuitive, but still needs a bit of refinement. Global bracing.
Right, the obvious one.
Yeah. When you stand and you squeeze your fist with any real force, the body has to stabilize itself. You're creating a torque, a challenge to your center of gravity. So what does the body do? It engages a total kinetic chain. We're talking arms, shoulders, core, and, crucially, your legs and feet. It's a bracing strategy.
A co-contraction.
Exactly, a co-contraction strategy. So if you're feeling that pressure in your feet and ankles, you're almost certainly unknowingly tensing your leg and foot muscles to brace against that upper body contraction. And that explains the initial mechanical part, which is key. But the deeper principle behind this is neurological. It's something we call neural coupling.
Okay.
Activity that starts in one motor region of the brain. It doesn't just stop neatly at the elbow or the shoulder. It influences neural excitability remotely all across the CNS.
So it sort of bleeds over.
It's less of a bleed and more of an interconnected web. It's essential for coordination. For instance, we have research showing a direct, documented relationship between the motor networks for the hands and the feet.
Really?
Yeah. One study found that muscle relaxation in the foot actually had an inhibitory effect on forearm muscle excitability.
So relaxing your foot calms your arm down.
Precisely. So logically, by reversal, a strong hand contraction must be increasing or modulating neural excitability somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe spilling down into the ankle motor neurons?
Wait, so is the brain kind of making a mistake? Is it sending the signal too widely, or is this deliberate?
It appears to be deliberate, an integrated compensation. The motor networks for different limbs are just far more interconnected than we usually think because the body's #1 priority is always maintaining upright posture.
And we shouldn't forget the general systemic effect either.
Yeah.
The papers suggested that if you clench really hard, it could trigger a mild sympathetic response.
The fight or flight response? Absolutely. Think about it. You naturally clench your jaw or your hands when you're stressed or concentrating. Your body is already tensing up globally. A hard fist clench is just turning that dial up a tiny notch.
And that little sympathetic spike.
It can lead to increased general tension, maybe shifts in microcirculation, elevated nerve excitability. That shift into a more ready state can manifest as these non-local sensations like pressure or stiffness in distal parts of the body, like the feet and ankles.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting for me. If it was just a generalized fight or flight thing, you'd feel it everywhere, right? A kind of buzzing or tension all over. But the listeners specifically reported feeling pressure in the ankles. That precision, it forces us to look deeper.
It does. We're moving beyond general tension now.
Yeah.
Studies have found that strong clenching, even jaw clenching, can increase the excitability of something called the spinal anterior horn cells.
Okay, that sounds technical.
It's jargon, yeah. But basically, it means the command to clench turns up the raw neural drive at the nerve roots responsible for movement.
So the signal to clench your hand goes down the spine, and instead of just staying in the arm area, it's sort of leaking or boosting other motor pools.
It's boosting them, exactly. And the research shows the spillover effect beautifully right at the ankle joint itself. One really compelling study found that high-strength clenching changes the ratio of the soleus to the tibialis anterior EMG.
Okay, let's pause right there. EMG, and that specific muscle ratio, why does that matter?
So EMG is electromyography. It's just a test that measures the electrical signal driving a muscle.
Got it.
And the soleus and tibialis anterior, they're the opposing muscles that control your ankle stability, front to back.
The gas and the brake, sort of.
The gas and the brake, yeah, that's a great way to put it. So when the study says hand clenching changes the EMG ratio, it means your voluntary hand action is actively rebalancing the power between the two main muscles controlling your ankle.
So you're clenching your hand, but your nervous system is immediately telling your ankle, hey, soleus, contract a bit more, tibialis anterior, back off, or the other way around.
Exactly.
And if the body reflexively increases that co-contraction and the ankle tensing both of them to brace for impact, essentially that would produce the exact subjective feeling of pressure or stiffness.
That's it. It's the muscles fighting each other on high alert.
That's the core of intralimb coordination.
It is. The nervous system acts like a single organism, constantly compensating between the arms and legs. You activate the hand, and it preemptively sets the readiness level in the ankles. The whole structure acts as one instantaneous unit to protect your base.
Which brings us to the biggest piece of the puzzle. We've done the neural software. Now, what about the physical infrastructure, the hardware? This is where we get into the more speculative, but I mean, it aligns perfectly with that feeling of pressure. Bio-tensegrity.
The bleeding edge stuff.
Yeah, let's define it quickly. Tensegrity is tension plus integrity. The idea is that the body isn't a stack of bricks, relying on compression.
Not a rigid skeleton.
No, it's a continuous tension network held up by these discontinuous floating compressive elements, like a tent pole suspended inside a net of rubber bands.
And this changes everything about how we see force transfer. The research suggests the body's structure behaves like one giant elastic unit where tension at one node, like your clenched fist, it doesn't just stop. It redistributes along the entire structure through the fascial network.
So a fist clench is not local, it's a global perturbation. It sends a wave through the whole system.
Exactly. And this model, it immediately explains why the sensation lands specifically at the ankle. The ankle is structurally defined as a tension bottleneck in the human tensegrity system.
A bottleneck. Okay, what does that mean functionally? You mentioned fascial lines converging there.
I did. So fascia is the connective tissue that wraps and connects everything, every muscle, every organ.
Right.
The ankle is where two major functional fascial slings come together. The deep front line, which runs through your core and handles a lot of internal stability, and the spiral line, which is for rotational movements.
Okay, so everything is funneling into that one spot.
It's a convergence point. It carries the system's entire load into the tiny base of your foot. So when tension increases anywhere in the upper body, the ankles have to automatically adjust their tension to manage that load. They're like the micro guy wires stabilizing the whole mast of your torso.
So we can actually trace a physical line of tension.
According to the theory, yes, we can trace the approximate mechanical path. The tension moves from the finger flexors through the forearm fascia, up into your pectoral sling, and then down through that deep front line.
And it anchors where?
It anchors into the key ankle stabilizers, the tibialis posterior and the peroneal sling. The tightening of that continuous fascial sheath is transmitted directly to the ankle.
So the pressure the listener feels isn't just muscle activity, it's the physical tissue, the joint capsule, the tendon sheaths, literally tightening as they absorb that redistributed load.
That is the mechanical explanation for the feeling of pressure.
But, and this seems pivotal,
Right.
why is the effect so much stronger when you're standing versus sitting?
That is the single most important detail supporting the tensegrity model.
Okay.
When you're standing, your body is a loaded tensegrity column. The entire fascial system is already pretensioned. It's actively resisting gravity. So when you introduce a small change, like a fist clench, that change propagates dramatically because the system is already taut.
Like plucking a guitar string that's already tuned.
Perfect analogy. The research suggests this mechanical coupling is amplified tenfold compared to when you're seated. If you sit, you offload the core, you slacken the lower fascial lines, and the demand for ankle stabilization just vanishes. And so does the sensation.
Which brings us to the application part.
The most important part. To figure out which mechanism is dominant for you, the neural cascade, the mechanical bracing, or this tensegrity transmission, you need to be your own diagnostician. You can run a few simple self-experiments.
Let's lay out the tests. These are designed to isolate the variables, to force your body to reveal if the reaction is about posture or pure neural drive.
Okay, first and best diagnostic. The sit versus stand experiment. Sit down, feet flat on the ground, and clench your fist.
Okay.
If that ankle pressure sensation just vanishes the moment you sit, you know instantly that your body's structural load, that tensegrity framework, was the dominating factor. It tells you the driver is mechanical.
And if it stays strong while you're sitting,
Then the neural excitability hypothesis gains a lot of strength because your nervous system is still firing those signals regardless of gravity.
okay, test number 2. Vary intensity.
Right. Does the ankle pressure scale smoothly with how hard you clench? Try a light squeeze, then moderate, then a really hard one. If the sensation scales perfectly, it suggests a really direct, clean line of communication between your hand and ankle, testing both the neural drive and the load response.
Test 3. Foot posture.
Try the clench with different stances. A narrow stance, a wide stance, maybe even standing safely on one leg. How does the body's explicit need for ankle compensation change the pressure you feel?
If you're on one leg and it gets way stronger.
You've just confirmed that stability demand is the primary trigger for you.
And the last one is awareness. This is more about data gathering.
Yes. Just pay attention. What are you actually feeling? Is it muscular stiffness? Is it a warmth? Maybe blood flow? Or is it a distinct joint loading, a pressure on the skin?
And that data helps distinguish between a true proprioceptive response, the body sensing tension, and maybe a vascular or autonomic change.
Exactly.
So, what does this all mean? We started with this strange remote body signal, and now we have this powerful hypothesis that unifies several different fields.
The speculative synthesis is this. You're likely experiencing a combined adaptive neuromechanical coupling.
Yeah.
The fist squeeze triggers a corticospinal cascade, which immediately increases global neuromuscular excitability. At the exact same time, the clench shifts postural control demands through that fascial network.
So it's the software and the hardware firing at once.
At the exact same instant. And that subjective sensation of pressure you feel, it's the combined effect. It's your ankle muscles and fascia instantly adapting, tightening, and co-contracting to maintain stability. It's just proof that your entire body operates as one functional, connected unit.
So what we learned today is that the sensation isn't tension radiating randomly. It's an integrated, specific neuromechanical response designed for total body stability, an instant adjustment.
It is. And if the hand clench is a micro realignment signal that causes the ankles to check and correct their stability part of this fractal tensegrity pattern, consider this for some further self-exploration.
Yeah.
If the hand is the start of a chain reaction, what would happen if you focused intensely on releasing tension in another seemingly distant area, like your jaw or your eye muscles? Could focusing on that distant release maybe disinhibit or cause tension to let go downstream in a related part of the body, like your hips or your shoulders, through a similar chain reaction? That ability to influence remote stability might just be the key to better posture and less tension overall. That's something definitely worth trying out.